Right. I think some people get caught up on quote unquote evidence, forgetting that your testimony is evidence, and that's evidence to be evaluated. I've seen people dissuaded or reluctant to try to get a restraining order because they never called the police, and they don't have a police report, and they think they need a police report.
Right.
You don't need a police report. All you need to do is say, last month the person, committed these offenses. And that brings me to my next point. So, we want to provide a full history so that we can make a compelling case for the restraining order. That's not to say, a one-off incident or the most recent incident is not going to be enough. I just think it's helpful in tough cases or difficult cases or contested cases, because they have a right to defend themselves, and they normally will, because the restraining order it's a serious matter. You don't want a restraining order against you, and it can have serious consequences. So you can count on it probably being contested, and you want to be able to make the strongest case that you can. But you also need to understand what the legal requirements are for the issuance of a restraining order. Now, every state is going to have some nuances, but I'll use the state that I'm in court the most often, and that's New Jersey, right? And it's basically a three-pronged test. Number one, you have to establish a family relationship. So a family relationship can be, a relative or something of that effect, or it's a former intimate partner, boyfriend, dating situation, husband, wife, that kind of thing. That's number one. Restraining orders in many states aren't issued for, hey, I want to get a restraining order against my neighbor, right? So a lot of times it's family violence that we're talking about. The next threshold in New Jersey is that you need to prove at least one predicate act of domestic violence. And the statute lists what that is. That's, even though that's a New Jersey statute, that's not going to be different than any other state. You're going to have to prove some type of offense or act of domestic violence occurred that is, included within whatever their statute is, right? And you can find these statutes, you can find these requirements online. You can, like I said, you can go it alone, you can do your quote unquote, do your research, but if you connect with a victim advocate, if you connect with an attorney, they're going to know exactly what is required, and that's why I recommend that. And then the last threshold is, just because you meet 1 and 2 doesn't mean that you necessarily need a restraining order in the eyes of the law. You have to prove, at least in New Jersey, that a continuing danger exists and that you need protection from this person. And that's why I'm a strong proponent of including, the full history. So it gives the judge a better understanding of the entire dynamics of the situation, and not just something that happened most recently that, quite frankly, a judge may look at and then hear from the defendant. The defendant says, listen, man, I just want to go my separate way. I don't want anything to do with her. I've heard that a million times. I just want to get on with my life. I'm going to leave her alone. And some judges accept that. They don't, after speaking to the person or hearing the person testify, they conclude that, you may have been in a relationship, you may have met the requirements of the statute, but I don't think you need continuing protection from this person.